Shall I move on?
Yes, I think we shall.
Salary prices were also released today. The third most important thing. We have them out in front of us, and just a few general notes here. You've got some players here who take very, very large amounts of salary, while others probably should be getting paid more. I don't know if you had a chance to scroll through the list much, but
A little bit.
what numbers jump out at you immediately? Like, who is just you're like, wow, I can't believe this happened.
So I have like an overarching kind of takeaway that I've gotten from this list, and that is it pays to leave this league and then potentially come back. Because if you look at the guys that have been developed in this league and what they're earning, I'm looking at Jesus Ferreira, whose fantastic play last season earned him like a designated player's contract. He's got 1.5 million on here. He's making less than Michael Bradley and Blaise Matuidi. Giassi Zardes, who's been consistently a top player in this league, 1.55 million. Both of whom making less than Ashley Fletcher. And then you could look at it, Rodolfo Pizarro, Gonzalo Higuain, both of them are top 15 earners in this league. And then even just looking at Josie, Josie's one of the top earners. Why? Because Josie left and then he came back. So I think it pays to leave this league. It's like, if you remain loyal to this league, you don't earn money. I think that's not to take the conversation off of MLS. It just feels similar to the job market, just like even with more everyday jobs. Like it just seems like it pays to jump somewhere else because they will, I guess, then like recognize your value. Like they're not paying loyalty. Like, why is Jesus Ferreira not making more money than Ashley Fletcher? Jesus Ferreira is a proven player in this league. Proven. He's the top goal scorer in the league right now, and he was phenomenal last season. He's making less than Ashley Fletcher, who's provided absolutely nothing to this league so far. That's just kind of my overall takeaway from this. I think that's probably a whole other discussion. It's just something that I kind of noticed.
No, I like that pickup. That's very interesting. You note that it's like you develop here, you leave, and then you come back, and you're like, well, I'm a European player. You have to pay me like one.
Yeah, and if you want to make money in this league,
on my bench.
Yeah, I mean, if you want to make money in this league, you have to leave the league. Like I'll scroll through and look because I'm curious to know what player who's been in this league his whole career, like which one is the highest earner.
Yeah, that's a good one.
I believe I'm looking. Sorry, I think I just found it. It's I believe it's Darlington Nagby. It's making 1.76 million.
Wow.
There are a huge number of names ahead of
him. The other side of this, so players who are jumping out at me, right? Josie was the big one, right?
Yeah. That's for sure.
Yeah. Josie's getting paid $4 million to be a bench rider on Bruce Arena's reunion tour. He's getting paid double what Gustavo Bo is making. It's disgusting.
It's crazy.
But you're also looking at players who are like unbelievably important to teams, making next to nothing. Look at John Tolkien, a consistent starter for New York Red Bull, making $100,000. That's an absolute steal. I think Mark Fishkin did an analysis of like player minutes per or dollars per minute or something. I think they're making like $79. They're like paying John Tolkien $79 a minute to play right now up through this season. Yeah. So the biggest thing that jumps out at me is there's so much disparity in what we're doing. So again, you look at teams like New England. I'm going to blow this up so I can look at it better. You've got 4.5, 2.5, 1, 3.5. That's 7, 8. You've got $11.5 million tied up in 4 players that are your big name whatevers, right? And then you're looking at players like Brandon By or DeJuan Jones making 300,000. Henry Kessler is making 170. Sebastian Leget's on another mill, while you've got Tommy Mack on 2.4. Matt Polster. The gap in pay for the bottom to the top is massive, and New England isn't even that bad, right?
Oh
You
yeah,
look at
go look at Miami. I'm sure. Go look at Higuain compared.
oh yeah,
Higuain
Miami is a great example, right?
Higuain probably out earns him and Pizarro. Put those two together, I think they out earn every other person combined on the team.
Bro, if you put them together, they're more expensive than majority of teams total.
Yeah,
I think
okay.
Dallas probably has the best roster build outside of Franco Jara. Right? You've got a bunch of kids, right, playing like pros, which they are. Paul Ariola's on 1.3, Jesus Ferreira on 1.5, and then Franco Jara on 3.5 mil. It's disgusting. Paxton's on 700K, Facundo Quignon on 840. But then you've got players like where's the one that stood out to me? Marco Farfan, right? Left back that you got from LAFC, 225. And what I'd like to do is, if I had more time, I'd like to sit down and break down this based off of like minutes per appearance and see how badly teams have spent. Because it's such the last minute, we didn't get a chance to prep that.
That'd be a fun analysis. We could work on that offline.
Oh, and we will, because we're nerds and that's what we do. But you can tell that people are just spending their money really poorly. They're utilizing that money to go buy players from overseas because they think they'll instantly be better, when you can get your Jesus Ferreiras, pay them DP money, and you don't have to worry about getting a Franco Jara, for example, right? Jesus Ferreira is getting paid more than half, or excuse me, less than half of what Franco Jara is getting paid, and he is absolutely cashing in. Franco Jara is sitting on the bench doing nothing and collecting a paycheck. You can cut ties with him and go spread that money the way it should be, and you'd be much better off for it.
Yeah, no disagreements here.
Anybody that you think is an absolute steal?
Oh, I'm sure there's a huge list of
Anything
people.
that jumped out at you?
I mean, in terms of steals, you could find a bunch. In terms of just like the young guys that have broken through, like Slanina's less than 150K, Tolkien 100K. You could probably find a bunch of guys. Stephen Fry, 500K.
Wow.
Dude's a veteran in the league and one of the best consistently year in, year out. You know what? I would be very curious to look into Seattle, because their team, like on paper, you'd think, how are they affording this? Roldan's making less than $1 million. João Paulo, only 1.3 million. Feels like a pretty good deal.
Leo Chu is making 550. He barely gets off the bench.
Yeah,
so they're not great.
That's pretty high.
Jordan Morris at 1.3.
But then you have an Obed Vargas who's making 75K.
Albert Rusnak at 1.8. Raul Ruidiaz at 3.2. But again, this is people who are they're taking cuts so that they can build teams that will win championships, right? Jordan Morris like, okay, I don't need to be a designated player. Pay me with TAM and whatever. I don't care.
Yeah, I mean, Seattle does a really good job of pairing young talent, I think, with their superstars. Granted, they have good veterans on here too. Freddie Montero, 110,000. That's a good deal.
Yeah.
So
Anybody you
yeah,
think is an absolute steal?
I feel like I would want to look into it a little bit more.
Sure.
I'm trying to
I'll just
scroll
say it
through.
right now. Julian Carranza at 900K when they didn't have to do anything except trade a second round draft pick for him, and he's leading their line. It's a pretty good one for the Union.
Ryan Gauld's making a lot more than I thought he would be.
Yeah, he's on like 2-2, isn't he?
Yeah, Brian White, less than 500K.
That's a good one.
Yeah, but I mean that was. I would be interested to see like the players that had like some backing to their worth prior to signing, and then
Yeah.
like how did they get a good deal out of that, as opposed to like, oh, this guy was signed to a bad contract because he had like no history, and then he like blew up one season. So like, of course, that's gonna look great.
Right.
But I want to see like someone brings in like a Jesus Jimenez on like I don't know 500K, like how like that to me would be like a good deal.
Sure.
I mean, he's less than a
All right.
million, so he's panning out pretty well right now.
Yeah, like I said, we're gonna have a lot of fun doing some data. We might have to do some. We'll post some of it on social media. Make sure you're following us so you can see some of our thoughts on some of the really good signings, some of the really bad signings, and players who need to step it up.
Yeah, I think that'd be some fun analysis.
Okay. Before we move on, one player we need to talk about: how is Xherdan Shaqiri the most paid player in this league?
Oh,
Who
it's not even close.
Oh,
It's not even,
you're right. It's not even close. Who woke up and was like, "Yes, pay the man"?
Chicago. I guess they were really desperate.
Evidently, man. Listen, he's a good player. He's not the highest paid player in MLS. Good. That's
No,
absolutely wild.
no. I mean, he's literally making more or basically just about the same as Josef Martinez and Carlos Vela combined. That's insane.
For a last place finish in the East.
Yeah, for a team that scores like 5 goals after 10 games.
He has been hurt for a little bit, but still, like that's just wild.
Yeah.